You are tired, but let's be honest, tired is too small a word, isn't it? Tired is what you feel after a long day at work. Tired is what you feel after a heavy workout. What you are feeling right now is something entirely different. It is a heaviness that lives in the marrow of your bones. It is a gravitational pull that seems to be dragging your spirit down toward the center of the earth, regardless of how many hours you sleep, regardless of how much coffee you drink, regardless of how many vitamins you take. You wake up in the morning, and the very first sensation that hits you, before your feet even touch the cold floor, is a wave of dread. Not a sharp panic attack dread, but a dull, gray, suffocating blanket of resistance. The thought of engaging with the world feels like an impossible demand. You look at your phone, you see the notifications, the demands, the endless stream of other people's curated lives, and you feel a profound, nauseating exhaustion. It is a weariness of the soul, and the worst part, you have no valid reason to feel this way. By all external metrics, you are fine. You are surviving, maybe you are even thriving. You have the job, or the relationship, or the potential. You have access to pleasures and comforts that kings of the past would have killed for. You have endless entertainment at your fingertips. You have food, shelter, and safety. And yet, this exhaustion persists. It sits in the center of your chest like a lead weight. You have tried to fix it, haven't you? You treated it like a mechanical problem. You thought, I just need a vacation. So you took the vacation, you sat on the beach, you drank the cocktails, you looked at the sunset, and for a moment, the distraction worked. But the second you packed your bag to come home, the weight returned heavier than before. Then you thought, I need to be more productive, I need a new goal. So you threw yourself into work, into fitness, into a new project. You chased the dopamine of achievement, and you got it. You hit the target. You felt that brief, fleeting spark of satisfaction. But within hours, the gray fog rolled back in. You have tried to numb it. You scroll through social media for hours, entering that hypnotic trance where time disappears, hoping that if you just consume enough content, you will forget the heaviness. You watch movies you don't care about. You eat food you aren't hungry for. You engage in conversations that mean nothing to you. You are essentially anesthetizing yourself day after day, trying to sedate a part of you that refuses to go to sleep. And in the silence of your room at night, when the distractions are turned off, you ask yourself the terrifying question, what is wrong with me? Why am I so ungrateful? Why am I so weak? Why can't I just be happy like everyone else seems to be? You look at others, or at least the masks they wear, and they seem so full of energy, so engaged, so alive. And you feel like a ghost haunting your own life. You feel like an observer behind a glass wall, watching yourself go through the motions of existence, but never actually touching it. You are terrified that this is it, that this gray, muted, exhausted state is the rest of your life. You are scared that you have broken something fundamental inside yourself, that your capacity for joy has simply burned out like a fuse that can never be replaced. You wonder if you are depressed, if you are chemically imbalanced, if you are just naturally defective. But what if I told you that you are wrong? What if I told you that this exhaustion is not a sickness? What if I told you that this crushing weariness is not a sign that you are broken, but a sign that you are finally, for the first time in your life, beginning to function correctly? What if this heaviness is not a defect, but a defense mechanism? What if your soul is not dying, but going on strike? Block 2. Deconstruction of the old paradigm. We need to talk about why you were energetic before. You look back at your past self, the one who could hustle for 16 hours a day, the one who could party all weekend, the one who chased goals with blind enthusiasm, and you miss that person. You think that was the healthy version of you. But let's look closer. Was that energy real? Or was it the frantic, nervous energy of someone running away from something? For most of your life, you have been operating under a specific psychological and existential paradigm. We can call this the paradigm of hedonic distraction. In this state, the primary goal of life is to keep moving. The goal is to maximize pleasure, minimize discomfort, and above all, maintain a constant level of stimulation. You were taught, explicitly and implicitly, that a good life is a busy life. A life full of events, achievements, acquisitions, and sensory inputs. This paradigm serves a very specific function. It acts as a shield. It protects you from having to face the fundamental questions of existence. As long as you are chasing the next promotion, the next lover, the next trip, or the next viral video, you don't have to ask, who am I? Why am I here? What is the point of all this? The German philosopher Martin Heidegger had a word for this. He called it verfallen falling. It describes the state of being absorbed in the world of things, of tasks, of public opinion. When we are in the state of verfallen, we lose ourselves in the Vedas man. We do what one does. One gets a career, one goes on vacation, one seeks happiness. We become interchangeable units of society, busily functioning but not truly existing. Heidegger argued that this busyness, this constant engagement with the trivial, is not accidental. It is a tranquilizing movement. We busy ourselves specifically to avoid the angst that arises when we face the nothingness of our existence. We run on the treadmill of pleasure and productivity because if we stop, even for a second, the silence becomes deafening. So, that energy you miss, that wasn't vitality, that was flight, that was the adrenaline of escape. You were running from yourself, and you were very, very good at it. But the human solor, the psyche, or the Dasein, whatever you wish to call the core of your being, has a limit. It cannot run forever. The mechanism of hedonic distraction has a hidden cost. Every time you used a cheap pleasure to numb a deep emotion, you paid a tax. Every time you chased a goal that wasn't truly yours, just to feel the dopamine hit of validation, you incurred a debt. Every time you scrolled for 3 hours to avoid thinking about your loneliness, you eroded a piece of your reality. You have been feeding your soul junk food for decades. You have been feeding it empty calories of superficial stimulation, and just like a body fed only on sugar, eventually crashes into diabetes and lethargy. A soul fed only on distraction eventually crashes into this profound existential exhaustion. The mechanism has broken. The toys don't work anymore. The distractions don't distract. The anesthesia has worn off, and you are building a tolerance to the drug of the external world. This brings us to a crucial realization. This is what happened to you. You didn't lose your energy. You lost your ability to lie to yourself. The exhaustion is the physical manifestation of the truth, trying to break through the concrete wall of your conditioning. Imagine you have been walking for years with a small pebble in your shoe. At first, it was just annoying. Then, you learned to walk in a weird way to avoid the pressure. You adjusted your entire posture, your entire stride, just to accommodate this pain without acknowledging it. You kept running, kept climbing, pretending the pebble wasn't there. But now, your knee is blown out, your hip is twisted, your back is in spasms. You can't take another step. You think the problem is that your legs are weak. You think you need to do more squats to strengthen your legs so you can keep running with the pebble, but your body is smarter than you. Your body has induced this paralysis, this total exhaustion, to force you to stop. It is forcing you to sit down, take off the shoe, and remove the pebble. The exhaustion is not the enemy. The exhaustion is the only thing honest enough to tell you that the way you were walking was killing you. Block 3, the central metaphor expanded. Let me give you an analogy that might explain exactly where you are right now. Imagine you are the captain of a sophisticated, high-speed submarine. For years you have been piloting this vessel deep underwater. The submarine represents your ego, your constructed identity, your social self. Inside this submarine, everything is artificial. The air is recycled, the light comes from fluorescent bulbs. The windows are actually high-definition digital screens that project a simulation of what the ocean looks like. Colorful fish, bright coral reefs, constant movement. For years, you were obsessed with the controls of this submarine. You were constantly tweaking the dials, checking the gauges, trying to make the submarine go faster, trying to make the screens brighter. You felt powerful. You felt in control. You spent your days maintaining the engine, your body, upgrading the software, your skills, and polishing the hull, your appearance. You judged your success by how fast the submarine was moving and how clear the digital images were. But the submarine was designed with a flaw. It runs on a specific type of fuel called external validation and sensory stimulation. And recently, the fuel intakes have started to clog. The engine is sputtering, the digital screens are flickering and going dark. This is your exhaustion. The submarine is losing power. Now, here's the terrifying part. As the artificial lights inside the submarine begin to dim, and the digital screens turn black, you are left in total darkness. The hum of the engine, the noise of your daily anxiety and ambition dies down to a silence. You are sitting there in the cold, dark silence at the bottom of the ocean. This is the moment of panic. This is where you are right now. You are frantically mashing buttons, trying to restart the engine. You are banging on the screens, trying to get the pretty pictures of the fish to come back. You are screaming, "Why isn't it working? I need to move. I need to see." You feel suffocated by the darkness and the stillness. You interpret this loss of power as death, but wait, because the engine has stopped, the vibration has stopped. Because the lights are out, your eyes are dilating. And for the first time in your entire journey, you notice something faint coming from above. There is a real hatch at the top of the submarine. It has always been there, but you never looked at it because you were too busy staring at the screens. And through the thick glass of that hatch, you see a faint, filtering light. It is not the neon pixelated brightness of your screens. It is a dim, ghostly, blue-gray light. It is the real ocean. The exhaustion, the failure of the submarine, was the only thing that could make you look up. If the engine had kept running, if the screens had kept working, you would have stayed trapped in that metal box forever. Mistaking the simulation for reality, the exhaustion forced the shutdown. The shutdown caused the darkness. The darkness allowed you to see the real light. But right now, the real light looks terrifying. It looks empty. It looks cold. Compared to the high-definition saturation of your screens, the real ocean seems boring. It seems like a void. You look out and you don't see objectives, you don't see leaderboards, you don't see likes. You just see vast, crushing water. This is the moment of disorientation. You are transitioning from a closed system of artificial stimulation to an open system of reality. Your eyes haven't adjusted yet. Your lungs aren't ready for the pressure. You feel like you are dying because the you that was the captain of the submarine is dying. That identity, the one that needed constant fuel, constant motion, cannot survive in the real water. Heidegger would say, you are moving from an ontic engagement with beings messing with the controls, chasing objects, to an ontological confrontation with being itself. The silence you hate, that is the sound of reality. The emptiness you fear, that is the space where freedom actually lives. But you are not there yet. You are still in the panic phase. You are still sitting in the dark, trying to hotwire the engine, trying to force the submarine to start moving again so you can go back to the comfortable illusion. Block 4. The warning against false solutions. And this brings us to the most dangerous part of this phase. Because the silence is so uncomfortable and the exhaustion feels so heavy, your instinct is to fight it with everything you have. You will try to force a solution. And the solutions you choose will almost certainly be hedonic escalations. If a glass of wine used to relax you, but now it doesn't, you might try a bottle. If scrolling Instagram for 30 minutes used to distract you, but now it doesn't, you might download TikTok and scroll for 3 hours. Or seek out more extreme, shocking, or polarized content. If casual dating used to validate you, but now feels hollow, you might pursue a chaotic, toxic, obsessed relationship just to feel a spike of adrenaline. You are like a man who is dehydrated, but instead of water, he drinks salt water. The salt water gives a momentary sensation of wetness, a momentary relief in the throat, but biologically, it is extracting even more water from his cells. When you try to cure existential exhaustion with more stimulation, you are creating a feedback loop of destruction. You are demanding that your fried dopamine receptors perform a miracle. You are whipping a dead horse. And if you've been resonating with this, maybe it's time to join the space where we go deeper every week. You know where the button is? You might try spiritual materialism as well. This is a tricky trap. You try to treat healing as a new project. You buy the crystals, you do the intense breath work that promises hallucinations, you go to the expensive retreats. You are trying to consume spirituality the same way you consumed fashion or technology. You are looking for a high. You want the burning bush, you want the fireworks. But notice the pattern. You are still demanding. You are still chasing. You are still looking for something outside of yourself to come in and change the way you feel inside. You are still the captain trying to fix the submarine. The exhaustion persists because you are refusing to surrender. You are fighting the water, and the water always wins. The more you struggle against this quicksand of the soul, the faster you sink. The more you try to snap out of it, the heavier the weight becomes, because the weight is there to stop you. It is a biological brake system. Block 5, Introduction of the New Paradigm. So, what is the alternative? If we cannot move forward and we cannot go back, what do? We must do the unthinkable. We must open the hatch. We must stop trying to power the submarine and instead learn to exist in the water. We need to introduce a new concept here. Let's call it resonant stillness. The old paradigm was about velocity. How much can I do? How much can I feel? The new paradigm is about resonance. How deeply can I be? How much can I perceive? In the state of resonant stillness, we stop viewing the exhaustion as a problem to be solved. Instead, we view it as a command of presence. The body is saying, I will no longer provide you energy for things that are not true. I will no longer give you fuel for the distraction. This new state is characterized not by the presence of excitement, but by the absence of resistance. Imagine the difference between a motorboat and a sailboat. The motorboat, your old self, forces its way through the water. It makes noise, it burns fuel, it fights the waves. It requires constant energy input. If the engine dies, it is helpless. The sailboat, your new potential self, uses the wind. It works with the elements. It is quiet. It requires sensitivity to the environment. It doesn't force a path. It finds a flow. Your exhaustion is the death of the motor. It is the universe telling you that you are no longer allowed to be a motorboat. You must become a sailboat. But you don't know how to raise the sails yet. You are just sitting there, drifting, complaining that the engine is broken. This new state of resonant stillness feels empty only because it is free of the noise you are addicted to. It is like stepping out of a heavy metal concert into a quiet forest. At first, your ears are ringing. You think the forest is silent. You think nothing is happening. But as your hearing recovers, you begin to hear the wind in the leaves, the snap of a twig, the call of a distant bird. You realize the silence isn't empty. It is full of detail. But to get there, you have to endure the ringing in your ears. You have to endure the withdrawal. You have to sit in the submarine with the lights out and just ... wait. You have to accept that you are not going anywhere for a while. You have to accept that your productivity is going to plummet. You have to accept that you might feel boring. You have to accept that you are no longer the protagonist of an action movie. This is the metaphor of discovery. You have spent your whole life digging for gold in a mine. You have destroyed your back, your hands, your lungs, swinging the pickaxe, looking for the shiny metal. You are exhausted. You collapse on the floor of the cave. You can't swing the axe one more time. You give up. And as you lie there, cheek pressed against the cold dirt, you open your eyes and look at the rock next to your face, and you see a fossil, a perfect spiral shell from millions of years ago, embedded in the stone. It's not gold. It won't make you rich, but it is ancient, real, and incredibly beautiful. You realize you missed the fossils because you were too busy looking for the gold. You missed the reality of being because you were too busy looking for the profit of becoming. Now, I must warn you about something that often derails people at this exact stage of transition. This is the moment where most people turn back. This is the moment where the exhaustion wins, not because it is too heavy, but because the alternative seems too terrifyingly dull. You might think that this concept of resonant stillness, of accepting the simple fossil instead of the gold, sounds rather boring. Your mind, which has been conditioned by decades of high-intensity, high-contrast stimulation, will revolt against this idea. It will scream at you. It will tell you that if you accept this stillness, if you stop chasing the highs, you will become a vegetable. You will become mediocre. You will lose your edge. You have been addicted to the psychological equivalent of a blockbuster action movie: loud explosions, fast cuts, high drama, intense stakes. And now, I am inviting you to sit in an empty theater and watch a single candle burn on the stage for 3 hours. Your ego will interpret this as death. It will say, this is not life. Life is struggle. Life is conquering. Life is feeling intense things. But you must understand this. Intensity is not the same as depth. We often confuse the two. We think that because something is loud, it is important. We think that because something hurts, it is real. We think that because something makes our heart race, it is love or passion. But often, intensity is just a mask for shallowness. A shallow river flows fast and loud. A deep river flows slow and silent. The exhaustion you are feeling is the price you have paid for living a life of surface-level intensity. You have burned out your nervous system chasing the loud experiences, and now your soul is demanding depth. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer famously said that life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom. When we desire something, we are in pain, the pain of lack. When we get it, we are briefly satisfied, and then we fall into boredom. So we invent new desires, new pains, just to escape the boredom. You have been swinging on this pendulum your entire life. You chased the desire, you got the prize, you felt the boredom, so you chased a bigger desire. But now, the mechanism has jammed. You are stuck in the boredom, and you don't have the energy to swing back to the desire. This is not a trap, this is an exit strategy. The boring stillness you fear is actually the only place where you can step off the pendulum entirely. It feels dull only because you are in withdrawal. You are a dopamine addict going through detox. Of course, the quiet feels oppressive. You are used to the noise. Of course, the stillness feels empty. You are used to the chaos. But if you can endure this initial period of boredom, if you can sit with the gray sky without trying to paint it magenta, your senses will begin to recalibrate. You will start to find a richness in the subtle that you never knew existed. You will discover that the boring reality is actually teeming with a kind of life that is sustainable, nourishing, and real. You will trade the exhausting highs and lows for a baseline of profound, unshakable peace. But you have to survive the detox first. And if this conversation is resonating with where you are right now, consider subscribing. We don't do surface-level tips here. We go to the root of the human experience every single week. Block 7. Exemplary story. Let me tell you a story about someone who faced this exact precipice. Let's call him Julian. Julian was an architect, successful, charismatic, and intensely driven. He was the definition of the high-functioning hedonist. He didn't just chase physical pleasures, he chased the pleasure of significance. He wanted to build the tallest buildings, win the most prestigious awards, be the most interesting person in the room. His life was a masterpiece of curation. Every dinner party was an event. Every vacation was an expedition. He treated his life like a performance art piece. But inside, Julian was rotting. He carried a fatigue so deep it felt like his blood had turned to lead. He would wake up in his beautiful, award-winning minimalist apartment, look at the ceiling, and feel a terrifying sense of dread. He described it later as the feeling of falling while standing still. He tried to fix it with more intensity. He took on a massive project, a skyscraper that was supposed to be his legacy. He worked 18-hour days. He drank expensive scotch to sleep and took stimulants to wake up. He had affairs with intense, complicated women because the drama made him feel something other than the gray numbness. The crash didn't happen with a bang. It happened on a Tuesday at 11 a.m. in a meeting. Julian was presenting the final design for the skyscraper. The clients were nodding. His partners were smiling. It was the moment of victory. And suddenly, Julian stopped speaking. He looked at the model of the building, this beautiful, complex structure he had spent years designing, and he saw it for what it was. A pile of glass and steel that didn't matter. It wasn't that it was bad architecture. It was that it was irrelevant to the screaming void inside him. The applause from the clients sounded like static noise. The congratulations felt like insults. He felt a wave of exhaustion so powerful he had to grip the edge of the table to keep from collapsing. He walked out of the meeting. He walked out of the building. He didn't go home. He walked to a small nondescript park a few blocks away and sat on a wooden bench. He sat there for 4 hours. He didn't check his phone. He didn't panic about the meeting. He just watched a group of pigeons pecking at a crust of bread on the concrete. For the first time in 40 years, Julian wasn't trying to build anything. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He wasn't trying to be Julian the architect. He was just a biological organism sitting on wood, breathing air. In that moment of total collapse, of total surrender to the uselessness of the moment, something shifted. The heavy leaden exhaustion began to change texture. It stopped feeling like a weight pushing him down and started feeling like gravity holding him to the earth. He realized he didn't have to hold up his identity anymore. He could just let it fall. He realized that his exhaustion was actually a form of intelligence. It was his soul saying, "I refuse to build another monument to an ego that doesn't exist." Julian didn't become a monk. He didn't move to a cave. But he changed everything. He eventually went back to architecture, but he stopped chasing the legacy projects. He started designing small, sustainable community spaces. He stopped drinking the scotch. He stopped the performative dinner parties. He became boring to his old friends. They asked him, "Julian, where is your fire? Where is your ambition?" He would smile and say, "I traded the fire for the ground." He had found the resonant stillness. He realized that the pleasure of watching the light hit a brick wall in the afternoon was more satisfying than the adrenaline of winning an award. He found that the void he was so afraid of was actually a space of infinite rest. Block 8. Metaphor of transformation. This brings us to where you are. You are sitting on the bench. You have walked out of the meeting. The old life is waiting for you to come back, to apologize, to pick up the presentation and start performing again. But you can't. You are in the middle of a metaphor of transformation that is as old as life itself. Consider the process of the forest floor. In a forest, nothing is ever wasted. When a great, towering tree dies, it crashes to the ground. To the untrained eye, this looks like a tragedy. It looks like the end of a life. The tree lies there, motionless, rotting. It is exhausted. It is no longer reaching for the sun. It is no longer fighting for canopy space. It is no longer productive. But if you look closer, down at the microscopic level, that fallen tree is the most active place in the entire forest. It is being broken down by fungi, by bacteria, by insects. It is being decomposed. This process of decomposition, this rotting, is actually the process of nutrient release. The rigid structure of the tree, which held all those nutrients locked inside itself for centuries, is finally surrendering them back to the soil. The death of the tree is the birth of the soil. And it is from this rich, dark, decomposed soil that the next generation of life will spring. You are the fallen tree. Your exhaustion is the process of decomposition. The rigid identity you built, the captain of the submarine, the high achiever, the pleasure seeker, is rotting. It is breaking down, and it feels like dying. Of course, it feels like dying, because something is dying. Your ego structure is dissolving. But this is not the end of you. This is the enrichment of your soil. The reason you feel so heavy, so dark, so underground right now is that you are being remade into something capable of supporting a deeper form of life. You are being... The philosophers of existentialism tell us that we are condemned to be free. We must create our own meaning. But before you can create a true meaning, you have to destroy the false meanings you inherited from society. You have to let the they self rot away so that the authentic self can find root. This decomposition takes time. You cannot rush a rotting log. You cannot scream at the fungi to work faster. You have to allow the process to happen. Validation, you are not lazy. Let me repeat that. You are not lazy. You are in a cocoon of deep psychological restructuring. The energy that used to go outward into the world is now turned inward, toward this massive demolition and reconstruction project. You are tired because you are doing the hardest work a human being can do. You are shedding a skin that no longer fits. You are grieving the loss of your illusions. The void is not your enemy, it's your teacher. The void is simply the space where the old you used to be. It feels empty now, but that space is necessary. You cannot fill a cup that is already full. The universe has emptied you out so that it can fill you with something real. And if you are still here listening to this, it means you are brave enough to face this process. Subscribe if you want to keep walking this path with us. Block 9. Practical instructions. So, how do we navigate this decomposition without losing our minds? How do we exist on the bench without falling into despair? We arrive at the instructions of non-action. The paradox here is that you cannot do anything to fix this because doing is the problem. Your addiction to doing is what got you here. So, we need a strategy of negative capability. This is a term from the poet John Keats, describing the ability to exist in uncertainties, mysteries, and doubts without any irritable reaching after fact and reason. Instruction 1, the affirmation of non-doing. You must stop trying to force your energy to return. Stop drinking the extra coffee. Stop trying to hype yourself up. Stop watching motivational videos that scream at you to grind. That advice is for the tree that is growing, not the tree that is decomposing. When you feel the exhaustion, do not fight it. Say to yourself, this is my body prioritizing truth over performance. Surrender to the gravity. Rest, not to recharge for work, but to honor the shutdown. Instruction to habitate the void. This is the hardest practical step. You must consciously create pockets of time where you do absolutely nothing. No phone, no book, no meditation technique, just sitting. Start with 5 minutes. Sit in a chair and stare at the wall. The itch to move will be intense. The brain will scream, "This is a waste of time." Watch that thought. Realize that the part of you screaming is the part that is dying. Let it scream. In that silence, you are retraining your nervous system to tolerate the absence of stimulation. You are building the muscle of being. Instruction 3. Quality of attention. When you are in this state of exhaustion, your world shrinks. You don't have the energy for grand plans. Good. Use the remaining energy to focus on the immediate, microscopic reality. Notice the sensation of the water on your hands when you wash the dishes. Notice the texture of your sheets. Notice the taste of your coffee not as a caffeine delivery system, but as a sensory experience. This is Heidegger's return to the thingness of things. When we strip away the utility, we see the beauty. Reground yourself in the physical world, not the digital or conceptual one. Instruction 4. The diet of information. You must aggressively cut the intake of false magenta light. If social media makes you feel inadequate or anxious, cut it. Not because it's bad, but because you are in a delicate recovery phase. You are an burn patient. You cannot expose your skin to direct sunlight yet. Stop consuming content that triggers the fear of missing out. FOMO. You are missing out on the fake world, so you can enter the real one. That is a trade you should take every single day. Instruction 5. The paradox of acceptance. Here is the secret. The moment you fully accept the exhaustion, the moment you stop fighting it and say, okay, if I am meant to be tired for the next year, I will be tired, the resistance drops. And when the resistance drops, a tiny trickle of energy returns. It is not the manic, caffeinated energy of the past. It is a quiet, steady, humble energy. It is the energy of the soil, not the fire. By accepting the void, you remove the fear of the void. And without the fear, the void transforms from a black hole into a sanctuary. Block 10. Final synthesis. We are reaching the end of this exploration, but it is really just the beginning of your understanding. Let's reframe this entire experience one last time. You felt that you were losing your life. You felt that the gray fog was consuming you. But in reality, you were being given a gift that few people ever receive. Most people never hit this wall. Most people are successful at maintaining the illusion. They manage to keep the submarine running until the very end. They patch the windows with more and more magenta glass. They die without ever having seen the real sky, without ever having touched the real soil. They live their entire lives in the they self, chasing shadows on a wall. You were lucky enough to break. Your exhaustion is a mark of distinction. It is a sign that your soul was too heavy, too deep, and too real to float on the surface of superficiality any longer. You sank because you have substance. The problem you started with, the weariness, the lack of pleasure, the feeling of emptiness, was never the problem. It was the solution. It was the emergency brake that saved you from driving off the cliff of an unconscious life. The revelation of the foundation. What you are finding in the silence is the only thing that cannot be taken away from you. Pleasure can be taken away. Money can be taken away. Status can be taken away. Even your health can be taken away. But the capacity to simply be, to witness the moment, to exist as a conscious presence in a mysterious universe, that is your fundamental nature. It was always there, buried under the debris of your striving. The exhaustion cleared the debris. It seems empty because it is spacious. It seems scary because it is free. The mind seeks a cage because a cage is safe. The soul seeks the open sky because the sky is true. You are standing under the open sky now. It is vast, it is quiet. And yes, it is terrifying, but it is real. Final declaration. You do not need to get back to your old self. That person is gone. Let them go. You are growing into someone new. Someone who doesn't need to perform to exist. Someone who doesn't need to be anesthetized to get through the day. Someone who can look at a gray sky and see the infinite beauty of the light. The invitation, you're already there. You just haven't noticed because you're still looking for the old map. Put the map down, close your eyes, feel the weight of your body on the chair, feel the exhaustion, and realize that this heaviness is the anchor that is finally, mercifully, holding you in the only place that matters, here. The void was never empty, you were just looking away.